First off, the Chiefs play the Texans tonight, and man, what a matchup for the first game of the season. But I'm going to call that one as one of the best Thursday night football games in recent history. With a 450-yard or more performance by Patrick Mahomes, the game will be a back-and-forth battle with lots of offensive and defensive highlights. And down 32-29 with just over a minute to go in the fourth, Patrick Mahomes will lead the Chiefs on a last-minute drive to kick a field goal and send the game into OT. Once in OT, the Chiefs will win the toss and will drive down the field easily. And one thing I've noticed, and that I'd like all of you to remember, is that the Texans still have a solid top two receivers in Brandon Cooks and Will Fuller. It's not a bad receiving core. And coupled with a great quarterback, I believe this offense will put up a fair fight against what isn't the league's best defense in the Chiefs. No matter the score, it's going to be a shootout, and the Chiefs will come out on top. Chiefs win 38-32 in what will be a brilliant Thursday night matchup. Next up, we've got the Bills against the Jets. Given it's a division rivalry and the Jets held the Bills to under 13 points in both 2019 matchups, winning one of them, the Jets will put up a fight. Yet the Bills are at home. Granted, it's not too far of an away game, but Bills Mafia can be brutal to play against, and Sam Darnold is going to struggle against it. And the Jets defense is going to struggle against it without Jamal Adams. Count on the Bills to come out on top relatively easily with a projected score of 20-17. The Jets are going to put up a fight, but I think the Bills defense is going to come in clutch in the fourth quarter and really not allow a score within the last 10 minutes of that game. Next up, we've got the Patriots against the Dolphins, another AFC East matchup. Now, granted, the Dolphins bested the Patriots in Foxborough last season, but I don't think it'll happen again. The two teams that the Dolphins played last year and the Patriots were completely different, one of which being the Antonio Brown and Josh Gordon-led Patriots offense, the other of which being the N'Keal Harry and Philip Dorsett Patriots. It's in Foxborough, though, and if long-standing history of this matchup says anything, it's that the Patriots will win this game. Expect the Patriots to come out on top 27-14, relying on the run game. I know, surprising. The Patriots didn't have a great run game last year, but I'll bet you they are going to rely on it this year. They released Lamar Miller just recently. I think it was just yesterday they released Lamar Miller. But they've got Sony Michel, first-round running back. They've got James White. They've got Rex Burkhead. They've got Damian Harris. This run game is going to be solid in week one. And Cam Newton is also going to scramble a bit. They're going to have some really fancy run schemes. I know Josh McDaniels is going to have fun with Cam Newton having a little mobility. He hasn't had mobility in a long time. And he's going to use that to put up a great run performance on the ground in week one against the Dolphins. Again, winning 27-14. And next up, we've got the Browns against the Ravens. Last season, the Browns bested the Ravens early in Baltimore. Yet, once the Lamar Jackson train gained momentum further into the season, the Ravens easily beat the Browns 31-15. Now, trust me, the Browns will put up a fight, but Lamar is now truly settled into the quarterback spot with Baltimore. I think it's fair to say that he is far more effective today than he was in last year's early matchup. The Ravens are going to pull away in the fourth quarter in this one after a relatively low-scoring first half, and they're going to win it 28-13. Next up, the Colts against the Jags. The Colts are simply a better team than the Jags, so they'll inevitably come out on top, but it won't be easy. Minshew's going to put up a fight. Again, Minshew is the answer for the Jags. He's going to put up a fight. They're not trying to lose games here, and will make this one a game to watch. Phillip Rivers will come in clutch late in the fourth, creating a road to a 24-19 win for the Colts. Phillip Rivers is back. He's ready to go, and he is going to lead the Colts to a late game win to restore faith in himself through the Colts fan base. The next game, arguably the least exciting, just even on the front cover of it without looking into what the result will be, Eagles against the Washington football team. I honestly don't expect Washington to amount to much of anything this season, and I'll take the Eagles all day in this one. Expect this game to be the least exciting of the bunch, leading to a 34-10 win for the Eagles. I think Dwayne Haskins is going to throw a touchdown here. I don't think the touchdown is going to be on the ground, but the Washington football team's, I hate saying that, couldn't they have come up with, because you can't really call them the Washingtons. That just doesn't sound right. You can call them Washington, but then it's going to, the Eagles against Washington. I guess you can say that. So back to what I was saying, Washington's defense is not good, and the Eagles are going to take great advantage of that. Carson Wentz is going to throw well. The ground game is also going to be very good for the Eagles in week 1, and they're going to win 34-10 over Washington. I want to say the Washingtons, but again, you just got to say Washington. But anyways, Bears against the Lions. Stafford will bring a fight, but so will Trubisky. Trubisky is fighting for a future in the NFL. I said that on Monday. And while Stafford is fighting to pull himself back into the spotlight of a top-tier quarterback, Trubisky's fighting for his future. He's going to put up a great fight here. Expect this game to be a rough one. Low scoring and personal. It's going to be tough offensively. The Bears' defense is going to hold, but so is Detroit's. Ultimately, the Bears will come out on top due to their defensive capabilities and Trubisky's ability to still play solid with over 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. Expect the Bears to win 17-13. Next up, a matchup made in heaven. We've loved this one for a long time, and we're going to love it again this week. Packers against the Vikings. Now, this one always seems to be a fun matchup to watch, and I don't think that'll change this Sunday. The Vikings lost Stephon Diggs, granted, and that will hurt their offensive production, but in the end, even with the loss, the Vikings will put up a solid fight and will win the game 27-20. This is one of those games that I could see folding either way, but if I had to put my money on it, I'd take an upset in the Week 1 division rivalry. Again, Kirk Cousins has something to prove still. He still has, even though he made the NFC Championship last year, he still has something to prove, and he's going to try his absolute best to prove it here, and I'm putting my money on the fact that he is going to start proving it in Week 1, even with the loss of Diggs. The next matchup, Seahawks against the Falcons. The Seahawks seem to have their game together while the Falcons don't. While I can't truly say if the Falcons will be back to where they once were this season, I'll bet money on the team that has consistently been a tough team to beat for many recent years. Expect the Seahawks to come out on top with a great performance from Russell Wilson, but Matt Ryan and that Falcons offense is going to do solid. Julio Jones is going to have 2 touchdowns. Again, the Falcons offense is going to put up a fight. It's going to be another one of those close games, yet you kind of know who's going to come out on top, just the better team overall. The Seahawks win 29-23. The next matchup, the Raiders against the Panthers. Another tough matchup, but the Panthers will surprise many. The Panthers aren't expected to win, and Teddy's going to upset this Week 1 matchup. And Christian McCaffrey will come out on day 1 and impress. He'll put up a 100-yard performance on the ground along with at least 50 through the air, expecting to have 2 touchdowns, and the Panthers will rely on Christian's production to lead them to a win in Week 1, 20-14. It's going to be a great matchup to watch. Again, it's kind of one of those upset games. It's not going to be a super high-scoring game, but it's still going to be a nice, rough one to watch. We're going to see some great running back play by both Josh Jacobs and Christian McCaffrey. Both of them will score at least once. And again, Panthers win 20-14. The next matchup, Chargers against the Bengals. Now, this is another game in which I could be severely wrong, but if I had to bet money on rookie quarterbacks making a Week 1 start against a solid pass rush, a solid D-line, I'd say the odds are in favor of the Chargers. Expect Burrow to struggle. I mean, it's Week 1. He's never played an NFL snap, not even in the preseason. He hasn't had a lot of time to get used to this offense, and that's going to hurt him. Expect the Chargers D to capitalize on a strong pass rush in Melvin Ingram and Joey Bosa. It's going to be tough for Joe Burrow to play against, and the Chargers are going to win handedly, 31-13. This one could, of all the games, I'd bet on this one to be the shutout game. I could see the Chargers holding them to 0 points. Joe Burrow is going to struggle in Week 1. That's a given. Burrow's going to struggle, but I could very well see him throwing a touchdown this game, which is why I gave them the 13 points. Next matchup, Cardinals against the 49ers. Another fun matchup as the revamped Cardinals offense will face easily the toughest matchup of the season in Week 1, and they'll struggle to score points early, but the 49ers defense will let up at least 2 touchdowns in the fourth, leading to a 27-17 win for the 49ers. Bucks against the Saints is the next matchup, and Brady has something to prove, and has arguably the best offense in the league to prove it with. Brady will throw well on day 1 with over 300 yards and 2 touchdowns, and will show that he still has it. Don't doubt him. He's got Gronk. He's got Evans. He's got Goodwin. He's got O.J. Howard. He's got Leonard Fournette. He's got LaShawn McCoy. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And the Bucs are going to win. He's also got Scotty Miller, who's a solid slot receiver. You know Brady loves his slot receivers. Scotty Miller is also going to surprise this season. Overall, the Bucs are going to score twice on the ground, though. And the red zone is going to be all ground game for the Bucs. And it's going to lead to a 34-24 win in what will be an extremely fun matchup to watch in Week 1. The next matchup, Cowboys against the Rams. The Rams are trying to correct their path following missing the playoffs in 2019, and the Cowboys are attempting to do the same. This will be a game won in the trenches, with Zeke rushing for over 100 yards in Week 1, and expected to be a thriller in prime time this Sunday night. But the Cowboys will ultimately come out on top 27-25. In the first Monday Night Football matchup, the Steelers will best the Giants as Big Ben is on a comeback run and will attempt to bring the Steelers back to the playoffs following a miss in 2019. Expect the Giants and Danny Dimes to put up a fight, though, with an overall score of 23-14. It's going to be a fun one to watch. It's Monday Night Football. It's always fun to watch. And again, Danny Dimes, I think Danny Dimes is going to impress. I think it's possible that they put up 20 or more. But just out of benefit of the doubt, I'm going to give that to the Steelers' defense, which was really solid last year and didn't get much worse. In fact, you could argue they got better. That Steelers' defense is going to bring it in Week 1, and I'm betting on that Steelers' defense to hold the Giants to 14 or less. The next Monday Night Football game, the last game of Week 1, it's going to be sad, but then we have football 2 days later, so not too sad. The Titans will face the Broncos to end off Week 1, and the Broncos will end it off with an upset. I know, crazy. Titans, Derrick Henry, I mean, that offense, and I think the Broncos are going to upset them here. The Titans are still recovering from blowing an AFC Championship lead, and will need a week or two to get settled back into a playoff team. They didn't have the preseason. Expect Drew Lock to show up on Monday, throwing for over 250 yards and 2 touchdowns. It's going to be a thriller. Going to be a close game. Drew Lock, again, is going to put up a fight here. Granted, so are the Titans here. It's going to be a close game. It's going to be a thriller. It could be one of those games decided by a field goal at the end, but I believe in Drew Lock here. I know I'm jumping on the Broncos hype train already, but I believe in Drew Lock. I believe in the offense he has down there in Denver. And I believe in the idea that Drew Lock and company, that receiving core and that run package in Phillip Lindsay, I believe they're going to make something happen this year. I believe they're going to make the playoffs in the 6th or 7th seed, and that's going to start in Week 1 with beating a playoff team in the Tennessee Titans. Again, Drew Lock is ready to go. So is this Denver offense, and that Denver defense is also going to put up a solid fight. They're going to get a few stops. They're going to hold Derrick Henry to under 100 yards rushing. I know, crazy, but they're going to do it. Derrick Henry is going to have 2 touchdowns on the ground, but they're going to hold him to under 100 yards total, and they're going to win it 27-20, a one-possession game decided in the 4th quarter, but a fun one nonetheless.